Zipper rolls out to the right, pitches off to Taylor, and Taylor's to the 20, down to the 15, down to 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Touchdown, Billy Taylor! Touchdown, Billy Taylor! Billy Taylor scored a touchdown from 21 yards out. The crowd goes berserk. It was November 22nd, 1969. That they came to Barry, Michigan, all dressed in maize and blue. The words were said, the prayers were read, and everybody cried. But when they closed the coffin, there was someone else inside. Oh, they came to Barry, Michigan, but Michigan wasn't dead. And when the game was over, it was someone else instead. 11 Michigan Wolverines put on the gloves of gray, and as the organ played the victors, they laid Woody Hayes away. Under center is Wangler at the 45. He goes back. He's looking for a receiver. He throws downfield to Carter. Who's got it better than us? Nobody!
Welcome to the Michigan Man Podcast on Wolverine Sports Radio, a member of the V Sporto Network, and in partnership with SB Nation's Maize and Brew, for Wolverine fans from coast to coast.
Alex will start on Saturday. Excited for him. He's been in here chomping at the bit, so we'll move on from there.
There it is. Orji is the starter for this week's USC game. Go Blue, and welcome to the visitors edition of the show for USC Week. I'm your host, Mike Fitzpatrick. Our special guest today is the legendary voice of USC Trojans football, Pete Arbogast. He'll join us in just a few minutes. Let's face it, Saturday was a win, but other than the running game, we didn't see much in the way of explosiveness or even consistency from the offense, and too many penalties on both sides of the ball. Should we be worried? I say yes, we should be worried. 3 games into the season, you'll like to see your team getting better each week. I've already downsized my expectations for this season. I think we're going to be in a lot of dogfights the rest of the way and just have to find ways to win. Hopefully we'll see the O-line get better and more cohesive along the way, and maybe even some young players burst on the scene, like Alex Orji. USC is maybe not the offensive juggernaut they've been the last couple of years, but they are still explosive. The most obvious improvement we've seen in the last 2 weeks is from their defense. They are vastly improved. At his Monday presser, Sharon was asked what he would like to see from Alex Orji this week.
Yeah, just take the reins, perform like he did in the first couple weeks at camp. Like I said, thought he was in a really good place, and Davis outperformed him in camp at the end, and would love to see him just take the reins and do what he's been doing, through those first couple weeks, and I think he will. He's had a great couple weeks of practice, so has Davis, but obviously got to perform in the game. Excited to see what Alex is going to do, and he's been in here setting his tail off the past couple of days like he always is, but you can see it ramped up even more.
He talked about the similarities between Kalel Mullings and Hassan Haskins.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the guy we compared him to last year. I always said, like, this dude's Hassan. He runs so hard, he runs physical. But just when you got Blake, you're not going to take Blake out. But the carries he got, he took advantage of, and right now, 15 carries for, I believe, 153 yards, averaging 10 yards a carry. Just unbelievable. Running hard, running physical, making guys miss, running over guys, running with speed. So blessed and happy that he's doing a heck of a job and doing what we thought he could.
Sharon mentioned there is still competition on the offensive line.
We'll still compete at center, see who, watch the film. Dom actually graded a little bit better than Kripp, but Kripp made some tremendous plays, but then there's communication things. So for us, we've got to definitely push that envelope to see how we can make that the best it can be. Felt like they played a lot more physical, ran out the ball. Obviously, when you run for 301 yards, it's a really good day on the ground. So felt that we made some progress there, so we'll continue to push those guys and push everybody at every position to make sure they're playing at their best.
He shared his early thoughts on what he's seen from USC on tape.
They're a lot bigger, obviously. Up front they are. They put on some size, some mass. They got different guys in there. A bunch of transfers on the O-line. A lot of guys transfer from their defense. But they're a good football team. I think Lincoln does an outstanding job with the team. He's always been a great offensive mind, and I think Coach Lynn's come in and brought in that defensive background, and they play really good defense, solid team defense. So for us, it's going to be penalty-free, take care of the football, and play our style of game.
My guest today says Michigan might not be what they have been, but he's not sure yet if USC is really that good either. Joining us next on our Game Day segment is the radio play-by-play voice of the Trojans, Pete Arbogast. So stay with us. Joining us this week on our Visitors Edition as we prepare for Saturday's big game is the voice of the USC Trojans, Pete Arbogast. Pete, great to have you with us.
Thanks for having me. I'm ready to go. Let's move.
Well, you've been the radio voice of the Trojans for a long time now, and USC is now in the Big Ten. So as we approach the Big Ten portion of the schedule, what interests or excites you about this chapter in Trojan football?
You know, I'm later in my career now. I've probably got inside of 10 years still to go because I started back in '89 and I'm almost 70 years old. I'm excited about new experiences. And so, for instance, coming to the big house for the first time in my career is very good for me. And I get to go to other places and see teams that USC has never seen during my tenure as a broadcaster. So that's really fun. I don't care about moving to the Big Ten and moving to anywhere. It doesn't make it. Put two teams on the field, and one of them's my team. I'm good with that. I'm fine.
Well, for our Michigan listeners who really haven't seen much of USC yet this year, let's get your thoughts. Watching the LSU game, that was impressive. You never know what you're going to get in that opener, but that was quite the performance, wasn't it?
Yeah, great game from a broadcasting standpoint in particular, because, you know, anything that comes down to the last second is great. I guess I'm still not sold on how good USC is. They're better than they were last year and the year before that. And they're particularly much better on defense than they were because they got a new coaching staff on that side of the ball. And they've got more depth on that side of the ball. Matter of fact, they've got more depth on both sides of the ball. This is a better football team than it's been. I don't know how much better yet, and we may not know until after this game and probably a couple weeks later when FC hosts Penn State at the Coliseum. Now, if the Trojans were to win both of those games, then I think you could say that they're a really good team. But if they split or they lose both of them, then, you know, probably not. So we'll find out. We'll find out quick enough. The schedule will reveal things to us.
Well, the big difference through the first two games that I've seen has definitely been that defense, because last 2 years, the offense just looked unstoppable whenever I saw SC play, and then the defense just, gave it right back. But Deanton Lynn looks like he's already made a difference. Of course, we have heard a lot of talk about him because he has been or was an associate of Wink Martindale, making a difference.
They were together for a while. You know, it's a different scheme, so it takes a little while to learn it, but they've been keeping it real simple and very explainable to the guys that are playing it. The one thing that really fires me most is that guys who were starting for USC last year, like Bear Alexander on the defensive line, they're now second string guys. They brought in some good portal guys, like everybody does, and they have taken over the starting roles. Interestingly, if you add those portal guys and the fact that they started at their previous schools a year ago, USC basically starts 10 out of 11 guys are returning starters from wherever they happened to be last year. They're attacking the ball well, they're playing the run well, and they're definitely playing against the pass better than they were. And they were just awful against the pass, and they couldn't tackle anybody. It was a bad situation. So to see it cleaned up, even as much as it has been so far, is a source of pride, and at least you can go to the ballpark and know that you're going to stop somebody some of the time.
Well, the offense last year with Caleb Williams was a lot of fun to watch. With him off to the NFL, Miller Moss is the guy now. I remember watching him in the Holiday Bowl, and I think he threw 6 TD passes in that game. And yeah, he might not be Caleb Williams, but he's off to a great start, isn't he?
Yeah, you got to take that Holiday Bowl with a grain of salt because both teams were kind of JV teams a little bit. So many guys that went into the portal early or said we're not going to play in the bowl game because they're going pro. So, but he did great. He did great when he did it. He's a lifetime SC guy. He grew up as an SC guy. So this is like a dream come true for him. He's not going to remind you of Caleb Williams. He doesn't run. You and I are faster than Miller Moss. I don't know if we're faster, but we'll run more often because we'll be chased more often. And the guy backing him up is no slouch now. Jaden Mayava was a really good quarterback at UNLV last year. We saw him a little bit against Utah State in the blowout a couple weeks ago. And he gave Moss all he wanted. Moss got the job because he'd been around the program forever, but Mayava's a really good backup quarterback. And if he has to come in, there's no worries. And he is more like today's quarterbacks who do like to put it on the ground and run it themselves sometimes. So a dual threat guy for sure.
Well, it helps Miller Moss that he has a talented group of receivers to throw to. A great tight end in Lake McCree, wideouts, Zachariah Branch, Kyron Hudson, and that's just to name a few. A lot of really NFL caliber weapons to throw to, aren't there?
Yeah, a lot of guys you've never heard of, except maybe Zachariah Branch, who was a great punt and kick returner. I didn't even know we had a position called tight end. It's been so long since we've thrown to the guy. So McCree's actually doing really well, and they're using him as a weapon, and they're using the tight end in the offense, and that's good. They've got a lot of guys lined up at wide receiver who are not household names, and may become so, but it's a pretty young group. Boy, are they talented. They're really good. And the running backs are Woody Marks was the leading running back at Mississippi State. He's got over 2,000 yards in his career, and he can catch the ball really well. So they're using him well, and they've got some really young, nice backups as well. The offensive line is more than serviceable, and they've been playing pretty well. They haven't been allowing Moss to get messed up too much back there. He hasn't had to hurry around. The depth on the offensive line may be a little bit questionable, and they're going to have to get into that a little bit because they lost their backup center for a while. But otherwise, it's, a Lincoln Riley offense is a Lincoln Riley offense. They're going to score a bunch of points, or at least they're going to move the ball around the field.
Well, and just through the first 2 games, I think that's been pretty obvious. Yeah, it's still early, as we said, 2 games, but Lincoln Riley has always engineered high-octane offenses wherever he's been, and there's every indication, as you said, that's going to continue this year with this offense. Too many weapons.
Yeah, and it's not like he's dumping the ball off short. Moss is throwing the ball all over the field, long, mid-range, sideways, doesn't make any difference, and throw to the backs, too. So there's a lot of, not just weapons, but a lot of ways that they can use those weapons. And that's what makes the offense so difficult.
Well, Lincoln Riley was outstanding at Oklahoma, and his first 2 seasons at USC, they've been good, overall pretty good. Are Trojan fans, though, sold on him being the guy that can get or restore USC as a national powerhouse?
Well, they weren't, I don't think, after the end of last year. But, and he's a young man. He's 41.
Yeah.
I can't even remember back that far. He did the right thing, and it seems to be working for him in that he and his offensive staff are going to – it's kind of like 2 coaching staffs. His guys are running the offense, and that's great. And now he's finally given up the reins and trying to be a guy who runs the defense as well, even though he had defensive coordinators, defensive coaches. The guys that he had weren't doing very well, and these guys are. And if he learns that here, that's great, because that means he's a much better head coach going out whenever that happens as to when he came in. He's learned to relegate, and the defensive guys have been left to their own to do their job and do it well. And that's what SC fans are looking at right now and saying, okay, we finally have a defense. Let's see what kind of football team we can have.
Well, Pete, before the season started, in the various preseason publications, I saw projections for USC that had them ranging from 11-1 to 7-5, really all over the place. Have the first 2 games changed expectations for this year, or would you say it's still too early to do that?
No, I was exactly there. I 7-5 and 11-1 were the two numbers I used all the time. And the one, quite frankly, the one loss that I always earmarked was the one at Michigan. Going to the big house, you're playing in front of 117 zillion people. It's a hostile environment. You're on the road at a road place for the first time this year with a new defensive coaching staff and a lot of new players. And Michigan's the defending national champions. They never lose. The expectations for Michigan have come down a little bit. Certainly, they're clearly not quite as good as they were last year, and it would be hard to do that. You know, they lost to Texas. Texas is the number one team in the country last time I saw. So Michigan's plenty good, and this was the game that I thought SC would lose. I thought if they won two of the big three at the beginning, they beat LSU and Penn State and lost to Michigan, they'd be in the hunt for a playoff spot. And I still think that's true, even though, before the season, you could have got SC plus 8.5, and now you're SC giving 6.5. So it's like a 15-point swing in 3 weeks since the start of the season. I don't know if either of those lines were very accurate.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a last play of the game sort of thing. This is going to be a great football game between two teams who have a great history, even though they don't play all that often. They've met in the Rose Bowl a lot of times, and usually they're pretty good football games. So I expect nothing different between these two this week.
When I was thinking about the fact we're playing USC this week, I go back to the 60s, so most of my life when I thought about playing USC, it meant you were in the granddaddy of them all, playing in the Rose Bowl. Life has changed in the last couple of years when we learned the Big Ten was expanding, but it's still Michigan, USC, two great brands. 5 or 10 years ago, I never thought we'd see this happen. Sort of a lot to get used to, isn't it?
Yeah, you sound like you're my age, and you're probably just like me in that I hate the Big Ten. Even if I'm part of it, I hate it because I grew up in an era where it was Big Ten, Pac-8, Pac-10, Pac-12, whatever it was. So you learned from an early age to we didn't respect them. We hated them. We wanted to beat the Big Ten teams in the Rose Bowl more than anything. Ohio State, Michigan, especially Ohio State. and so we're in the Big Ten, and it's easy to hate them going into every single game. Every game now is the Rose Bowl game to me, and that's kind of fun.
Well, final question before we let you get away, Pete. In just a few weeks, the expectations for both of these teams have changed. Michigan in a downward way, USC ascending. Still, this is an historic first on Saturday, and I think a win by either team could really shape the trajectory of the season for the winner, don't you?
Yeah, and I don't think Michigan's all that down. We'll find out. And I don't think SC's all that up. These are both teams that probably at this stage of the season have a reasonable thought in the back of their head when they fall asleep at night that they could possibly be a playoff team. Big Ten champion, I think that's a little far-fetched for both of them. But playoff team, I think both of them have those dreams right now. And the winner of this game will continue to have those dreams. The loser will probably be a little bit hurt in that way, and it might be a difficult road from here on in. I can't wait to get there. I can't wait to walk around the campus and the grounds and just see this thing that I've seen on TV, but I'm sure it doesn't translate from TV to being there in person. I'm so when they said we're going to the Big Ten, we're playing Michigan in the Big House, I'm like, this is the first time we've been there. Was it 1956 or 57? First time we've been there?
Yeah.
Well, I was four. Okay? So I can't wait. I wish we were flying in on Thursday like they let us, but we're not coming in till early Friday. So we sure look forward to it. This is what these giant super conferences are going to make in the future. If they continue to go this way and get rid of some of the lesser teams and really compact this thing, it's going to be every week. It's going to be an SC Michigan. It's going to be Michigan LSU. It's going to be an Alabama against Ohio State. those are the types of games, boy, I mean, who doesn't tune into those? So it's going to be great.
It is. It's going to be a great Saturday welcoming USC into the big house, and I know everyone back here very excited. So we'd like to thank the voice of the USC Trojans, Pete Arbogast, for joining us today and being so generous with his time. So thank you, Pete, and we look forward to another visit in the future.
Right on, and hail to the victors.
On Quick Hits today, the injury news has been all over the map on Colston Loveland since Saturday, from a significant shoulder injury to a game-time decision. At his Monday presser, Sharon said it's up to the doctors. He'll wait for their advice. No other injuries were discussed. On Thursday's Michigan Game Day show, our guest will be beat writer Austin Meek from The Athletic. I'll have the usual game day notes of interest and also check our weather for this pivotal early season matchup and historic game with USC. So make sure you join us. That will do it for now. Have a great Wolverine week, everyone. I'm your host, Mike Fitzpatrick. Until we meet again on Thursday, take care, and as always, go blue. Thanks for joining us today on The Michigan Man, here on Wolverine Sports Radio, a member of the V-Sporto Network, and in partnership with SB Nation's Maize and Brew. Our listener lines are open 24/7 for your calls at 313-263-4842. That's 313-263-4842. Or email us at themichiganmanpodcast@yahoo.com. That's themichiganmanpodcast@yahoo.com. The Michigan Man Podcast is produced at the studios of Robin Lynn Productions, Allen Park, Michigan, and is not affiliated with the University of Michigan. Go Blue!